on the broad spectrum of entities, and there are many that we've heard about throughout the ages of different, experiencers, there are different types of entities, different species, it would seem. Out of all those species, and I think I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyways, which one do you find most interesting?
The ones I am with, that I'm engaging with, are the most interesting to me. Who are they? Well, I think they're the ones on the cover of Communion, which we call the Greys. And also our own dead are very much involved in my experience. There's a lot of people out there saying things like they are the dead, that this is not the case. The Greys they are not, I don't think that they are as fixed in their bodies as we are. In other words, with training, a human being can sometimes learn how to leave their body. I've done that a few times, and you have too, I'm sure. But the Greys, I think, can enter and leave them at will, easily. And I think in that sense, we're similar in that we have souls that are connected to the physical. And that may be part of why they're here. But they're the most interesting to me because they're interested in me. I have had a brief encounter with one of the Nordics who proceeded to tell me the Greys were extremely dangerous and stay away from them. And then with the family of the tall whites. And it was a lovely exchange with them, brief, that involved them showing me one of their children who was taller than I was, even though he was about 6 years old. Looked about 6 years old. God knows how old. He could have been 500 years old for all I know. I don't know how they age. But the Greys are my main ones.
Whitley, is there a case, because obviously, you've surrounded yourself not only with people who are really invested and interested in this phenomenon, but also people who've experienced this phenomenon.
Yeah. Is
there a case that you particularly find more interesting, perhaps that gleams a little bit of insight on what happened to you? Is there a case of someone else that you would...
Oh, there's no single case where I could say this case gave me more insight, because every case is like that. Every case I talk about, every person I talk to as a piece of this experience is equally valuable, because the thing is like it's holographic. It's so complex and it resonates in a slightly different way with every single one of us. And so I can't put my finger on a single case.
Is there one that comes to mind that is just interesting to you, that you find particularly fascinating? Is there just a case that comes to mind when thinking of this, that one usually sticks out to me? Would it be Charles Hall?
Well, no, I think it would be probably, in my case, Betty Andreasson. And there's lots of reasons for it. First, Betty's story is so compelling. It's, her story is of being burned by the fire of a phoenix. And there's so much rich symbology in that. But also there was a really remarkable instant in her story. Betty had heard and repeated to what she thought was star language. In other words, it was not an intelligible language to her. But when I read it and then listened to the transcript, it was very clear that it had something to do with Gaelic. But it wasn't Gaelic. It was something like Gaelic, and I found an expert in the UK, as I recall, who knew Gaelic very well and knew a lot about ancient Gaelic. And he said it was a very old form of Gaelic, and that it meant, children of the northern people, you wander in eternal darkness. And that has been a kind of byword of mine ever since. I think Ray Fowler's book about Betty is a valuable read. And we do wander in eternal darkness. That's why we're here, to try to find our way out of it.
Willie, It's always a pleasure to talk to you. You always blow my mind every time we have an interaction.